So today we're using Pycharm to deliver your coding lessons. Why would you do that? One word: instant formative assessment. You're not waiting weeks, you're not waiting hours, you're not waiting minutes. You're waiting less than a second to formatively assess students. Give them that feedback instantly and help them. So a few things that you need to be aware of starting. A lot of people, they start straight in a project and that's their choice. Make sure you deselect that because we're going to need to use the welcome screen. And so when you get started, it's going to work like this. Firstly, you're going to click Learn. Then you're going to click Create Course. And you can do quite a lot of right clicking. You can see this is on the Mac, but it's the same on Windows. Create New, and then you're going to create a task, lesson, or section. Let me talk to you a little bit about what those things are. So it is in this order. So the sections are the biggest area, then you have lessons, and then you have tasks. What I suggest to you, though, is that you keep your courses fairly small. That way, if there's a problem with one course, you're not rolling out to hundreds of students and having a huge course altogether. It may seem streamlined to just do one big course, but actually it's creating more effort for you. So a few smaller courses is better than one big course. And so these first two are organizational, and the final one is the actual tasks where you do the work and the learning. Now, this is a beginner's course. If you use the Edu, you have access to all of the tests and things that are available in your language. These are very good for more complex projects, and I would say for university level, absolutely incredibly useful. But I'm talking about school level, so most of the time output tests are plenty good enough, because also we are testing the students in an environment where it's not secure. Particularly, it's about their formative assessment, making sure that they're learning things and they're happy with the results and checking things out. And so when we do an output, we look at this and we see what's going on here. Now have a look at this. Have a look, pause it for a second if you like, and see. This checks okay. What do you think is going to be in the output file? Have a look. It's not a trick question, but it is something you need to be aware of. Okay, so let's have a look. What you can see here is that after an input statement, you don't automatically get a new line, and it will say that that isn't the correct thing. So make sure you're aware of that. With a print statement, by default, you get a new line, and that's fine. But certainly in Pycharm, it doesn't put a new line when you're using outputs. So make sure you do that. Have a go. When you're doing your own, modify your output task. So when it comes to asking questions, not only do you have the option to do input and output tests, but you can actually choose multiple choice questions. You get one question per task. Now, of course, you can use as many tasks as you like, but just be aware. And there's one thing here which I find a little bit misleading, so we'll go through it. So you can see this here. What do you think is going to appear? Okay, so that to me looks like a multiple choice, even though we put multiple choice is false. And if you put true, they're talking about, let's think about it, what would be the difference between false and true in this? That's right, radio boxes. So you have to tick the exact correct amounts. So when they talk about multiple choice, they talk about radio boxes, and to me that wasn't quite intuitive, but as soon as you understand it, it's fine. You know, have a go, create your own question, have a play with it. The key thing here is the taskinfo.yaml to create the question. It'll appear at the bottom right of the screen. The next thing we're going to have a look at is Markdown and HTML. Okay, simple Markdown, this is what it is. If you're used to this, if you do things on GitHub, if you do various things, you may come across Markdown. A lot of chat forums used to use Markdown, etc., and that's fine. But you have a choice. You can choose Markdown or you can choose full HTML. And there is one extra function. They put in a function here which is called hint, which you can literally type hint and tap, or you can type it out, and this enables you to do lessons. The other thing to know is they've got a special type of link, and this is course, and this will actually put you to the right place. So what can you get away with in your HTML? Well, you can have animated GIFs, which is lovely. You can have links to anywhere. They open in a browser. You can have most basic HTML, okay? Most. You can have spoiler tags and a few other things. So most basic HTML supported. However, YouTube videos are supposed to be supported, but it's been a bit hit and miss, if I'm honest. It's not worked for all of my videos. Sometimes complains it's not a valid browser. Now, I don't know if this is YouTube putting some kind of security onto some videos. Does seem to be older videos work fine, but newer videos are a bit hit and miss. Doesn't support iframes, which is a real shame, but I can understand why that would be the case. Doesn't support JavaScript. Well, not fully support JavaScript, so you're better off putting a link to a website if you want to do anything more complex JavaScript. Also, if you don't want to display your images and things that are part of your task, you can change the visibility to false, and this is done in the taskinfo.yaml. So this enables you to get rid of anything that's not relevant to the learner and hide it. So I recommend at this point in the video having a go at making your own complete task with an output task, a multiple choice task, a question box question, and a instruction in Markdown or HTML. Finally, we have testing. And so if we want to look at testing, we look in a little bit more detail. Again, you right click, you do your course creator, and then you can make a course preview, which is a nice way to do things. You have quite a few options. You create a course preview, which enables you to see what it looks like for a student. You can change the course description, which the basic one is exactly that, very basic. You can enable a course creative archive, and that's where you will send it up. And finally, you can upload it to the course to the marketplace. I haven't done that bit yet, but one thing I will say is get rid of that tick box to check all tasks. I think that works well in some modes, but for input outputs, that does not work. Finally, you can do Google Drive storage. I recommend you make the file public and you use the Google Drive direct link generator, which means that any zip file gets directly downloaded. Now, we are over on Mac OS. Do not use Safari because it has a nasty habit of automatically unzipping files, and that's a bit of a nuisance. Right, so that's it from the teacher's point of view. Let's have a look at it from the student's point of view. And I will say probably one of the most difficult things for students is actually downloading the course in the first place. And I'm not sure that helps unless students already know a little bit about Pycharm. They do it. But firstly, they download the course. You will see that download anyway, so you can see that's saved at least one step, because Google Drive can be a bit of a nuisance in terms of new window, download zip file, etc., etc. This skips all of that step. So it takes a few seconds to download your course. Then you load up. For this one, we're using Pycharm Community Edition, but it also works on Professional Edition. Get the update. The Apple Silicon Vision is so much faster for Apple, and obviously you want the latest version for Windows too. Get your Pycharm up. Make sure you've got that welcome screen up. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to do it, and that's why I mentioned you have to configure it as such. So you need to then click on Learn. And then what you're going to do is you're going to enable access. You just need to do this the first time. So enable access. Okay, this will just take a second or two. Load up this access and off you go. So once you've done that, enable your access. Takes a few seconds. This is a one-time thing, and this just downloads it and enables the online courses and so on to go around. It normally just takes a few seconds. It does take a bit longer depending on your internet connection. With a class full, it might take a little longer. Get started. There are some ready-made courses, but I've found these use fairly complex English So they're good. You can use them examples as well. You go to My Courses, and if you made your own course, you could open that course from disk, which means you don't have to upload it to the marketplace or anything like that, or wait for that. Because I'm on Mac, you're going to have to click OK and do that. Also, if you've got multiple users, you are going to have to navigate your way through. Again, these are all challenges for my students, and I did spend about 10 minutes going through this process, making sure they did it step by step, making sure that everything was going. But once they got into the course, they were working incredibly quickly. Now, if you've got a smaller class, you might just want to run through this and do this for the students, because it's not necessarily part of their learning, just navigating their way around, but that's the way I've done it. And once you're in there, you have the course and it is available to you to play with it. And this is the course that I'm developing right now. And so, as you can see, there we go. It's all loaded. It's all good to go. And you can use any version of Python that you would like. And that was the key part going on here. And you can start to play with it, have a go, check the course. One key point I will stretch is don't use Safari or any tool that automatically unzips. If you've got something, an attachment to your Chrome that automatically unzips things or something like that, please don't automatically unzip, and certainly don't delete the zipped file, which is the key thing. There's plenty of further reading. There's the Markdown guide, plugin guide, the course creator guide, YAML format, and writing test cases. So if you want to take it a bit further, I did do a video walkthrough a couple of months ago when we had the Replit issue, and this really is an update for teachers. So please do enjoy, have a go at this, and see how you feel.